You know, with Brittany Griner looking to spend the next 9 years in Russia in a Russian prison, enjoying a nice extended vacation, the talk of gender pay equity in the dump is once again picking up steam. There was a lengthy article in the LA Times this morning talking about the need for higher salaries in the WNBA, as if the six-figure and woke welfare for producing absolutely nothing is not enough already. We often hear the word entitlement when people describe players in the NFL or the NBA. Sometimes Major League Baseball players are labeled entitled too. When you reach a certain level of success, a certain status, a level of entitlement comes along with it, perks. Now, some people might not agree with it, but when you're LeBron James and you're generating billions of dollars every year for the NBA, you are going to be treated differently. You're going to have perks. You're going to be catered to, pampered. Some NBA players are entitled. There's no doubt about it. But there's a huge difference between earning that level of entitlement and expecting to be entitled when you haven't earned it. There's not a group in this country more entitled than players in the WNBA. It's absolutely unbelievable, the expectations that these ladies have. And I use the term ladies loosely here. Most of these women in the WNBA look like high school boys. Most of them grew up aspiring to be men. At the same time, they complain about toxic masculinity. It's rather ironic when you think about it. The same people whining about misogyny and masculinity spend their off-season in a doctor's office begging for permanent cucumber attachment. With this situation in Russia with Brittany Griner, there is a little bit of a sense of panic right now in the WNBA. Many of these woke welfare recipients, they rely on the money they make overseas playing in Russia or China. Unlike the money that they're just freely given over here, they do actually earn the money overseas. Inhabitants of the dump, they can make double, triple, sometimes quadruple the money playing in Russia or China. For obvious reasons, that option is no longer available. With Lady Liberty sitting in a cell for the next 9 years banging the woke shovel, players are afraid to play in Russia. The situation with China, it ain't any better. If Adam Silver's daddy's not afraid to threaten the life of Nancy Pelosi, he's damn sure not afraid to detain a recipient of woke welfare. Now more than ever, the responsibility is falling on the WNBA and their corporate sponsors to feed the entitled beast. There's only one small problem. They don't have the fucking money. This league does not have the money to pay the low six-figure salaries they're paying right now, much less doubling, tripling those salaries. Just like in real life, the lack of money, it's only a symptom to the real problem. The other day, I mentioned that sometimes I'll watch Dave Ramsey here on YouTube. The other day I'm watching, a woman calls into his show. She's complaining about interest rates and money problems. She was trying to get a HELOC. She was trying to borrow against her house to pay off all of her credit cards. Now, while that can work for some people, it doesn't address the root of the problem, which is you're living beyond your means. A couple of years later, most people find themselves back in the same predicament. They didn't address the real problem. It's no different with the WNBA. For years, we have heard excuse after excuse as to why this dump is struggling. Every excuse addresses the symptoms instead of addressing the real problem. This past week, ESPN broke its month-long drought of JV basketball. The supposed home of the WNBA dump, the network responsible for airing live footage from the dump, didn't broadcast a game for 4 weeks. In fucking July, the slowest month of the year when it comes to sports. Last Saturday, the drought finally ended. ESPN proudly presents to you the return of high school basketball. Join us Saturday afternoon as the Seattle shitfucks travel to the dump in D.C. to count facial hair against the Washington woke. The game actually popped a decent rating, 340,000 on a Saturday afternoon. Now that number's god-awful for anything else on television, but that's actually a good number for the WNBA. Unfortunately, that's where the good news ends. Thursday night, prime time, the Phoenix Fucks played the Connecticut Cucumbers on ESPN2. Now on Thursday, ESPN2 had 7 programs make the top 150 shows on cable. The least watched being something called The Daily Wager. I imagine that's about sports betting. But The Daily Wager drew 56,000 viewers. The WNBA, once again, failed to make the top 150 on cable. Now, it is one thing to not make the top 150 when the game's on NBA TV, CBS Sports Network. Both of those are smaller channels. They're not available in as many homes. Now, even though ESPN2 doesn't draw the ratings that ESPN does, it's still available in the majority of homes across America. When your league is failing to make the top 150 on a major sports network, a major cable network, you have a serious problem. And the WNBA has serious problems. Serious problems they don't seem willing to address. Like I said a second ago, every solution they come up with addresses the symptom instead of the problem. We can't draw an audience because we don't have proper funding. This past off-season, the WNBA was given $75 million from woke corporations. The article in the LA Times mentioned many companies, they're looking to invest in situations that check the woke boxes: diversity, equity, and inclusion. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, she told the LA Times, "We're the league that says put your money where your mouth is. Please, please feel sorry for us. This league features the ostracized and marginalized. Give us your money." This is working. This is true for now. Eventually, the sympathy factor is going to expire. For now, the WNBA has funding. Supposedly. For the first time in league history, the dump is valued at $1 billion. Now, I'm not sure I believe that. I also can't confirm it because the WNBA doesn't release its financials, but that's what they claim. There is this mentality amongst members of Woke United Methodists that money solves all problems. There's no amount of money that can fix the problems in the WNBA. We used to hear the excuse that the mainstream media didn't promote the WNBA enough. We don't receive enough media attention. If the media would focus on our players, America would fall in love with them. The mainstream media granted this wish. For the last 2 years, there has been relentless promotion of this garbage. The problem is, this actually backfired on the WNBA. The media focusing on this league, it only highlighted their biggest problem. The LA Times pointed to the fact that WNBA ratings are surging. The WNBA Finals was up 15%. It's easy to claim ratings are up when they have nowhere to go but up. The LA Times, they said the same thing about merchandise sales. WNBA merchandise sales, they went from nothing to almost nothing. But it's funny. The article, it didn't mention anything about attendance. Reason being, when you compare WNBA attendance this season to 2019, the numbers are significantly down. Attendance across the dump down 20%, over 1,000 people a game. They are barely drawing over 5,000 a game. However, my sources tell me attendance amongst barbers is up this season. An increased number of barbers are rushing to WNBA games looking to make some money trimming the facial hair of the players. The players, they continue to push for higher salaries. They continue pushing for chartered flights. They're tired of riding the Greyhound bus to games. They want to upgrade to a single-engine Cessna. But no one's offering solutions. No one's coming up with ideas on how to generate the revenue to make this a reality. The players feel they are entitled to the money. They're entitled to these accommodations because they entertain a handful of people on a bi-weekly basis. I mentioned a second ago that the increased media promotion of this league actually backfired, highlighted the biggest problem. Biggest problem in the WNBA, they don't have relatable players. For the last 30 years, the majority of the highest paid female athletes have played tennis. Venus, Serena Williams, Naomi Osaka. Ronda Rousey makes a shitload of money being a lady badass. Key word, lady badass. When you look at the highest paid female athletes, they all have something in common. They're attractive, they're relatable. Men like to look at them, women can relate to them. Their fashion, their makeup, whatever the fuck women relate to. Players in the WNBA, they're pushing to be included on that list through their salaries, through their endorsement deals. The problem is, how the fuck are they going to get there? Before she was in prison, how would a company use Brittany Griner for an endorsement deal? What percentage of the population can relate to Brittany Griner? How many women in America speak with a deep voice and want to be a man? How many women want to dress like Natasha Cloud? Instead of promoting women like Maya Moore, who's married to a man and can relate to most women, the WNBA chooses to promote Sue Bird, who's married to a prepubescent boy and relates to less than 7% of the population. To make matters worse, heterosexual players in the WNBA are bullied. Just a few years ago, Candace Wiggins came out publicly and stated, "It is toxic to be a straight woman in the WNBA dump. If you're not down to tag team the cucumber, you're not welcome in this league." Then they wonder why they can't attract an audience. They ostracize and vilify 93% of the population through mythical racism or anti-LGBT talk. Then they wonder why we don't watch. When your product on the court is this substandard, when you're presenting a product that is damn near impossible to watch, you have got to have relatable players. You've got to have star players. Vince McMahon made billions of dollars by doing this. Watching two grown men in tights fake fight in a wrestling ring, that's boring as fuck. But when you put an interesting storyline behind it, it can make it interesting. Same goes with the UFC. The storylines enhance the product. The only reason the WNBA dump is still on TV, it is a 5-month commercial promoting the woke agenda. That is it. The WNBA promotes the normalization of the LGBT lifestyle. I'd be willing to bet within the next 2 years, they will showcase their first transgender player. But let me know what you think. WNBA attendance down 20%. Ratings fell to crack the top 150 on cable. Is there any way this dump could draw ratings on television? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.